Across my 4 short-term rentals, I've had 202 guest reviews so far. 196 of them are 5-star. That's a 97% 5-star rate, and it's the single biggest reason that my revenue grows 15 to 20% every single year. Not pricing, not market timing, not even the properties themselves. Reviews and the customer service that earns them. Most STR investors undervalue this. They treat it as a soft metric, but it's not. It's the most direct revenue lever in this business. Let me show you exactly how that works and the 3 things that I do to make it happen. Here's what reviews can actually do for your business. And I want to be specific because this is where most investors sort of gloss over it. Reviews build trust, and trust is an economic force. There's a book called The Speed of Trust, and I taught a course based on it for years in my corporate career in oil and gas. The core idea is simple. When trust is high, speed goes up and cost goes down. In short-term rentals, that shows up in 3 measurable places. 1, guests book faster. When someone sees years of consistent 5-star reviews, they stop comparison shopping. They book. That speed shows up directly in your occupancy rate. 2, guests pay more. Trust raises prices. People will pay a premium price if they're confident that you'll deliver. That premium shows up directly in your average daily rate. And 3, guests will come back and they'll bring people. So repeat bookings are the cheapest revenue you'll ever earn, and they only happen when trust is high. Higher occupancy, higher rates, repeat guests. 3 different lines on your income statement, all driven by the same thing. That's why this matters. Reviews aren't a vanity metric. They're a compounding asset. So how exactly do you build that trust? It's not magic. It's 3 things that I focus on across all 4 properties, and I'm going to share each one with a real story from a real guest because that's a fun way to do this, right? Number 1 is responsiveness, and I mean real responsiveness, like have my phone open all the time responsiveness. When a guest messages me, I answer quickly, personally, not with AI. If they want something that's in a guidebook, I still answer it because guests don't want to be redirected to a guidebook. They just want to be taken care of. Last Thanksgiving, a guest at my Orange Beach property, Whiskey Sands, messaged me that the TV in the main living room had stopped working. It's Thanksgiving. It's TV football time, right? Within 3 hours, we had a new TV ordered, delivered, and mounted on the wall. That review came in the next week, and he wrote, this is a direct quote, "Now that's service." That was actually a really fun back and forth, and it shouldn't have been. It should have been really stressful. It could have been a really tough day, but we worked hard to make it work. And now that review is doing work for me every single day. The next guest who reads it doesn't worry about what happens if something goes wrong. They book, they pay, they show up trusting. That's a trust asset that I built in 3 hours. Well, and my handyman did, right? And it pays me back forever. The next story is about recovery. That's how you handle it when things go really wrong, because they will. Last summer at my steamboat property, Whiskey Ridge, the community hot tub broke during a guest stay. It wasn't anything I could fix. It was pretty upsetting. It was an HOA repair, and it was going to take days. The guests were disappointed, to say the least. They had specifically planned for the hot tub. So about day 2, when I figured out this wasn't getting any better and they weren't getting any happier, I sent the whole family on me for a whole day at the Old Town Hot Springs. They had a great day. The kids had a wonderful swimming day that they'll remember. And the review I got back said, even though things were out of my control, I did something about it. 5 stars. Think about what just happened there. The stay could have generated a 1-star review that hurt my bookings for years. Instead, with lots of communication, it generated a 5-star review that future guests read as proof that, hey, at least I show up when something goes wrong. Same situation, completely different outcome based on one decision and a few $100s. The third thing is what I call signature touches, small details that get specifically mentioned in reviews. For me, it's the beds. I invest in really high quality mattresses and linens across all of my properties. And I now have multiple guests in multiple properties asking me where they can buy the same mattresses for their own homes. Multiple. Asking to buy. That's not a normal review pattern. That's a signature. And every time it shows up in a review, it's doing trust building work for the next guest. Pick something. Beds, kitchens, coffee bar, design, and make it so memorable that guests will point it out. They'll write about it. That's how you turn a stay into a story that helps you earn more money next time. And here's one thing that tells me this approach is working. One of my best reviews came from another short-term rental Superhost that stayed at Whiskey Sands, and she wrote, and I'm quoting, "As a Superhost myself, I'm a critic. This house was spotlessly cleaned. Book this house." When the people who run this business for a living give you a 5-star review, you know your operation is solid. And that helps you earn more money next time. That's the most valuable assets in my whole portfolio. Reviews, again, aren't a vanity metric. They're an asset that compounds. Each 5-star review I have is earning me revenue years from now. If you'd like the full operation system that I use to deliver this kind of guest experience consistently across 4 properties in 4 different markets, that's what I teach inside STR Jumpstart. The full masterclass walks through messaging, recovery, design, and operations. Everything that goes into the trust your revenue depends on. You can find it all at strjumpstart.com. And if this was useful, hit subscribe. I'll see you next week.